Hello everyone, this is CY once again. Thanks for joining me today. It has been a month or so since I made my last video. Yeah, really busy with the cafe and my other company that deals with all the espresso equipment or coffee equipment. And today I finally find the time to sit down. And then, as I've mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to go through the comments on my video over the past month, and I'll try to respond to all these questions as much as I can, as many questions I can answer, and hope that I can, at least catch up with my video making and also answering all the questions that my viewers have for me. Right. So before we do that, let me make a cup of coffee. I've roasted 3 batches of coffee yesterday, and I'm just going to try to do a very simple one, nothing special. Basically, it's just a drip bag, and I'm just going to grind coffee and place the coffee inside, and I'm just going to pour water over it. My current temperature of water is around 92 degrees Celsius. I boil it to 95, and it should be dropping. So let's make the coffee quickly. Right, and I'm going to use the Millwright hand grinder. Right, this has been the best grinder for me so far in terms of price versus specs. Right. So the first one I'm going to test is the Yunnan red wine, right? I know for those of you who have been following my channel for a while, you know that I love Yunnan red wine coffee. And this is different because I roasted this slightly darker so that I want to make a batch of cold brew out of this coffee. So let me taste the coffee and see whether it still have the winey notes and the sweetness hasn't been reduced due to the darker roast. So my Millwright grinder has been set to a setting of 50, right? It's pretty easy to grind at a filter coffee setting, and I'm only grinding for 10 grams because I'm going to try 3 different batches of coffee. So just bear with me for the first few minutes while I make my coffee, and then I'll go through as many questions as I can, right? So first one is done. Wow, smells really great. Right, from the color, I can see that it is definitely slightly darker, right? And I'm going to go on to the second one. Right, same thing, 10 grams. The second one, I believe, is I think it's Costa Rica, right? Roasted to light, slightly on the lighter side. Not approaching medium yet, so this is going to be a lighter roast. Right, it is definitely harder to grind on this lighter roast. I can feel the resistance more. But on a setting of 50, it is still pretty easy for me, right? Whoa, very floral. Right? And the third one is actually the Yunnan anaerobic. The tasting note is supposed to be floral, sweet, citrus with orange acidity, tropical fruits, right? Didn't say mango, but my Yunnan red wine is actually mango tasting notes. This is more towards the tropical fruits. So I think this is going to be sweet. Same thing, roasted slightly darker than light. So it's in between light to medium. So definitely on the grinding side, you can feel that it is easier to grind as compared to the Costa Rica, which is roasted light. Oh, okay. Alright, and I'm just going to pour hot water. Right, this is by far the easiest way to make coffee. As long as you have a hand grinder, right? You can do this in the office. It doesn't occupy a lot of space. It doesn't need a lot of equipment. You don't even need this kettle, right? Because it's only 10 grams, so I'm only going to use about 150 grams of water. Right, you can see that I'm not using any equipment to measure. I'm just using the scale to measure the coffee bean that I use. So very much I'm just going to eyeball the amount of water. Right, because I know this cup is about 200 plus ml. So with just half of it, I know it's approximately 150 ml, right? Okay, so that's pretty much done. So while it's settled, right, let's start with the questions. Right, the first question from Amir, right, he says that his barista touch stop every 3 seconds no matter what I do. Right, this is something that I experienced with the Breville Barista Pro and Barista Touch series. Right, as long as they use the thermojet, right, seems to have this issue. Right, it always beep either after 3 or 5 seconds, and the machine will just stop. I've done in my previous video. I think this is due to the flow restrictor or flow meter that's attached to the thermojet, right? The thermojet coil. So if there's not enough water inside, I believe the thermojet will stop the heating to prevent damages. So you may have to send the machine back, to check on the flow meter, right? And the second question is from Evgeny Miranov. I hope I got your name correct. But he's asking me about the M10 Sniper roaster from Kaleido. Right, I have been using this roaster for 3 years to 4 years already, and I've been enjoying my roast. In fact, all this coffee here, which I'm going to taste today, is roasted on the M10. But he's asking me what's the maximum capacity per kilogram of this roaster per month. This question is a bit hard for me to answer. Right, I would say that per roast maximum is about 1.2 kg, right? But usually I put about 1 kg inside. Reason why I say 1.2 is because when you roast 1.2, right, you probably get a 1 kg return, right? All the moistures will actually reduce the weight of your coffee that's roasted, and each batch of coffee, 1 kg, will take about maybe 8 to 12, maybe 30 minutes maximum, because I rarely go to the darker side of the roasting. So I would say that if you take average about 10 minutes per roast, right, and plus minus, probably an hour, you can do 4 kg. So in a day, if you roast like 2 or 3 hours, you can easily do like 10 kg at least per day, right? So that really depends on how often would you want to roast it. But I would recommend that you do not do back-to-back roast for more than 10 batches. Give you a rest before you start again, right? Okay, the next question is from Shayarfuddin Sapri, right, 3 days ago, right? He's asking about the VBM. VBM has been the best machine that I've sold as compared to other brands that I've sold so far. The first brand, I would say not the best, right? Is on par with another brand that we carry, right? Both VBM and Quick Meal are among the best machine that I've used so far. It is just super consistent, super hardy, super well built, right? On the VBM side, they are more on the technology side. The question asked is, any issue returns from customers since it first came to your store? Any other than volumetric issue? I can tell you very frankly, right? Because we have sold many machines, VBM machines locally. Zero machine has returned so far, right? It has been it's really going well. We even sold a VBM Super to a cafe. During the peak lunch period, they probably serve 50, 60 cups of coffee consecutively. Of course, the water is plumbed in. The major issue with the VBM Super used commercially is the drip tray, right? There's nothing to actually drain the water away, right? So zero issue so far, right? Next question is from Joshua Hodas, right? 5 days ago, right? He mentioned that the steam level knob for upgrade for the Lily is still above. I stopped producing those because simply I don't have time to make those anymore, right? So sorry about it. If I have the time in the near future, or if I get some my supplier factory to manufacture in wood for me, I will definitely relaunch it again, right? Okay, another question from Xavier. 6 days ago, he mentioned about my regular cleaning guide, BS878. I think I did a total cleaning guide probably quite some time back. He mentioned that I didn't even clean the water tank. Yep, sorry, I may have missed a step. Yep, so it has been quite some time ago, so it doesn't matter more. I'm still healthy. There's nothing wrong. Once in a while, it happens, right? Um, Next question is Quick Meal Sunny, right? At 35 minute 4, right? Looks like the steaming took about 28 to 29 seconds. Did you have it set to the maximum temperature of 140 degrees? Nope. Right? If I remember correctly, I don't usually set my steaming temperature to that high, and normally I will set at around 1.1 to 1.2 bar, which is about 125 to 130 degrees Celsius, right? On a home use machine, to about 30 seconds of steaming time is actually quite good, in my opinion, right? Okay, next question, Marcus Chan, right? You mentioned that on the Nook Mini, right? Am I able to do profiling with the pedal? No, the pedal is just a switch on or off. It doesn't do any flow profiling, right? Next question from the Olivers, right? 8 days ago. Same problem with the Barista Pro, right? You can refer to my earlier answer, right? And from Gary Strader, right? Yep, it's an experience for me to visit the factories in Italy and Spain to visit my manufacturers, and really is an eye opener for me. The Chinese EK43S, right? From JPJ. Chinese should be ashamed of copying and stealing. They feel no guilt of by damaging the original brand. Um, this is about copyright issue. For me, I do not want to comment on this because for me, I came from the user point of view, right? I think, of course, stealing other people's idea is not encouraged. It's not something that we all should encourage. But I have to say that because of this, the Chinese manufacturers, they are able to study the machines and come up with their own version. I would say that maybe they have copied the design, but in terms of the specs of the motor and everything else, right, they are not exactly the same, right? And there are many machines that looks like EK43 with the parables, right? Of course, it looks very similar to that, but it doesn't mean that it's exactly the same, right? So whether is it damaging the original brand or not, people who support the original brand will buy from the original brand, right? They will not buy from some copycat brand, right? But there are a lot of us who are, I will not say that this is correct, but then um, uh, a lot of us are not as well off. We can't afford the very expensive equipment, so we can just pay for whatever that comes best, right? Right, the DF64 modification. It is about. I found my zero, but this is from Lime Mail 2 weeks ago, right? He says that he has found the zero point, which means the burr touching point, and it happens to be at some strange place. The only way to overcome this is actually to remove the sticker, the dial indicator sticker, and then we probably can use a heat gun to slowly peel off the sticker because the below is actually 3M tape. And once you remove it, you can apply the sticker again, then probably rearrange your dial to point at the correct zero, right? That would probably be the best, right? And from Trong Hong, right? He's talking about Molesto EM19M3. Yeah, that is actually the best machine under $1,000. It's absolutely the best, right? From Molesto, right? Steam lever knob upgrade final version, right? From John Harris. He says that looks absolutely awful and cheap, right? That is for your own opinion, right? If you can come up with something better, please do it, right? And share with us, right? Another viewer from Lumo 2 weeks ago. Sample coffee roasting lot 17 Kaleido M10 Sniper, right? He's asking me what's my thoughts on the Alio bullets. I have a few friends that owns a bullet, right? In terms of the capabilities, I believe they are quite similar. Um, One is, I believe, it's designed in Taiwan, and I'm not too sure where bullets are being manufactured. But from my perspective, I've been using the M10 Sniper Pro for a long time, and the only thing I can say is that the roaster is built like a tank, and it's really very um, um, it's one of the best roaster for 1 kg, right? All right, let me take a sip of coffee and then continue to answer the questions. By the way, this is the Yunnan. No, the sweetness is still there. My goodness. Even though this is roasted duck, I'm looking forward to make cold brew out of this. Okay. Okay, let me remove the other two drip bags so that the coffee is not soaking inside. Right, from the color of the coffee, I can definitely see that the Yunnan red wine is definitely darker, right? And the middle one is the lightest, and this one is in between, right? So I think in terms of the smell, it has dialed. The smell has been lessened. The intensity of the smell of the red winey notes has been lessened due to the darker roast, but the sweetness is still there, and the body and the taste has been strong. The body of the coffee is now tasting a lot stronger. Right, not too bad. Right, I'm going to continue with the other one. So let me see what is the next question. Right, this question is from Amigos, right? 3 weeks ago, right? As well, the workflow, Molesto Elaine EM19M3 espresso machine. I think it's about the workflow. Hello, sir. Can this produce 100 cups per day? I believe it can, but of course, the water tank is limited. So as you top up the water tank, and as the water being drawn from the tank to the small boilers as well as the thermal block, I think espresso extraction there's no issue, right? As long as there's enough water in the tank. But the steaming of milk will really depends on how frequent you steam, right? If you just drink black coffee, 100 shots a day is nothing to this machine, right? Um, this next question is from Nitin Sivani, right? 3 weeks ago, attempting to convert Florenzato all ground to a single dose. That single dose converting is still in progress. I will not say it's 100%. I will say that from 2 grams of retention, it reduces to 1 gram, and now we are able to achieve about 0.5 grams of retention. I'm not too sure whether people who does single dose can accept 0.5 gram, but I would say it's pretty okay. Did you season the burrs on the Florenzato all ground? I didn't season any burr at all, right? I just use it as per normal. Um, it's really up to you, right? If you have some stale coffee, you can just run the coffee through. But the coating on the Florenzato all ground burrs are not as tough and durable as the one from SSB, right? I believe after about 20 kg of coffee, right, the coating on the burr on the Florenzato burr sets will start to show signs of wear, right? I mean the wearing off of the coating and not the burr, right? The burr is still very sharp, right? Okay. Next question is from Jacob W. 3 weeks ago. Manual hand grinder, 1Z Bresso, JMax, Lily Marax. Interesting that your grind setting for apparently espresso is way outside the recommended value, which are between 1 and 2, and yet it still produce desired result. Sometimes, really depends on the coffee and how old the coffee is, what's the roast level and things like that, right? There's no fixed rule, right? On your grind setting and your extractions, right? Next question, 3 weeks ago from David Zuzia, right? It is about the Elizabeth. He's asking me whether I'm selling this. The modification for the portafilter, the portafilter adapter and the DF60 for the DF64 and the handle for the Elizabeth, right? I sell them for a while, but I'm not satisfied with the quality, right? It can be better, right? So I have stopped selling them on my Etsy. But once I perfect it, I'll probably relaunch it again. Next question is on DS64101 Part 1. right? And this is from Dang138 Zik 3 weeks ago. Hello, after adjusting the silicons and spring, I noticed that the upper barrel doesn't sit properly. I have done a lot of adjusting the springs. I will say it will be more wobbly. It's not that it doesn't sit properly. It will be more wobbly, right? But it gives you a more. I believe it gives you more flexibility in, in your grind size adjustment, right? That is the part where we look out for. I hope that answer the questions, right? Brew temperature digital probe, right? This is Adam Knight 3 weeks ago on the Barista Pro. I think this video I've done like maybe 2-3 years ago, right? I've been wondering myself if it's not hot enough as well, right? I believe the Barista Pro, after the second shot onward, the temperature will dip, right? It's just not hot enough, right? The coffee that I taste after the second, third shot is usually lukewarm, and espresso. I think that probably because the steaming of milk takes a bit of time, and by the time you finish steaming of milk, and you want to do your latte, right, your espresso has really cooled down, right? That's the disadvantage of having, a machine that can only do one at a time, right? When I say one at a time, means you can only do pulling of espresso shot and steaming milk separately. You cannot do it together, right? Good coffee, right? Problem starting your DF64. This is from Ben's Coffee Rants 3 weeks ago. I believe the newer DF64 version do not have the timer built in after V3. This one I will test and verify, right? Okay, the next question is the DF64 mods anti-popcorn version 1 versus version 2. The current anti-popcorn version does not work for the DF64P, right? Because the bellow is more shallow, and I think the funnel is designed slightly differently, right? Another from Philippi B, 4 weeks ago, right? Servicing King Grinder K4, right? He is struggling the disassembly of the grinder, and he found my video helpful, right? Yep. Thanks for supporting, right? I glad it helped, right? DF83, unboxing first use, right? Thanks for sharing the. Okay, this is from Abdullah Ko. Thanks for sharing the dialing in process CY, and recently got the DF83 and had the same experience with dialing in the grind size. Yeah, I find that the grinding range for the DF83 is slightly wider. So normally for espresso on the DF64, I have to grind maybe between 10 to 15. But on the DF83, I can grind maybe around 16 to 20 or even larger, right? And of course, the grinding speed is fast, right? It's 83 mm, remember? And if you compare that to the Eureka Minion Specialita, it's like a turtle and rabbit, right? It's a lot faster, right? Okay, let me see. Another one on Matt Bakley, right? 4 weeks ago about unboxing T6. That's an automatic machines. I'm glad you like my video, right? Problem starting your DF64, right? If you have owned DF64 for more than a year now, right? I think it will start to show signs of wear and tear, especially on the timer board, right? The board that actually count down the time for 40 seconds or 45 seconds before they cut the current off, right? That board is actually will start to give problem. In my case, many of my customers are now facing this problem whereby they have to knock the machine, and then the grinders will start to grind for a while, then it goes off again. So this is mainly because of the board. Get your whoever sell the grinder to you, they should have the spare part to repair, right? So that's what we do, right? Of course, after warranty, we charge a certain amount of money for the repair, basically for the parts, right? I think that's all for me today, right? I've covered about 1 month of comments, and I hope that I've answered the questions. And this is the second cup, which is from the Costa Rica. Let me try to taste it. Wow, the orange acidity is definitely very apparent. Wow, it tastes like orange juice with coffee, right? And the last one from the anaerobic. The profile is very similar, but the orange intensity is lesser. It's very interesting, these two. One is from Costa Rica and one is from Yunnan anaerobic, and the tasting profile is quite similar. This one has more orangey taste. This one, the sweetness is lower. This is sweet and acidic. This is sweet and not so acidic. The acidity of the orange taste is not as high as this one. But I have enjoyed all the 3 cups of coffee. I think this is a good roast, right? And okay, so this is CY once again. I hope you find today's video okay, right? I hope that I can have time to do more. And this is CY once again. My channel is all about having fun making coffee. I hope to see you very soon and stay safe, and I'll see you very soon.